Hello, so today's video is going to be a Veigar Vex reroll game. So as you can see, we start the game off with Prismatic Party, so we're going to be hitting a lot of Prismatic Augments. And I'll kind of see exactly how I end up in this spot. I'm not exactly sure, but I do know this one's a better placing Veigar game than the previous one I made, so I thought it would be a good idea to post this video as well, because the Veigar Vex MAGES reroll comp is one of the best reroll comps in the current patch right now. So I think that if you're trying to learn the game and improve a little bit, it doesn't hurt to have an extra VOD to kind of look at, to give like a little bit of a better example of how things can go when you high roll a little bit rather than low roll. So I start the game off with a Mordekaiser. I'm thinking towards two different things here. With the Mordekaiser start, you might have seen my most recent videos where I talked about Mordekaiser reroll. That is definitely an option that is on the table. I wouldn't really want to commit to a reroll unless I get like a really good reroll augment, something like Prismatic Ticket, or if I get into a spot where most of the lobby is playing reroll, because if many people are rerolling, then it makes it easier to hit. Also, I'd like to say, if you like my content, if you watched a couple of my videos, please make sure to like and subscribe, because that's helped me as a small content creator for TFT. But anyways, look at this opener. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I could also try and make Econ. I have 3 multi-strikers, so I actually just tailor multi-striker here. Multi-striker +1 might be something that I end up playing towards, because a multi-striker emblem makes a lot more reliable to hit 7 multi-striker for later in the game. But you know, usually like when you're starting your opening round, you want to try and tailor for something just to give you like a decent spot. I have tier rod, so my items are kind of more AP focused, I would say. There's March of Progress. Oh, I think this is the thing I have to check at. So at what cost is a little bit risky, because obviously like your second and third augment that you can't pick, unless you're like strictly planning on a fast 9 type of situation, you probably don't want to necessarily play towards at what cost. I'm looking around, there's a lot of people holding Warwicks and Blaster units, so I'm not entirely sure what to play here. I hit Prismatic Ticket. Now, I'll say my thought process. So, I think I was going to take either March of Progress or Prismatic Ticket and just commit to a reroll, because at this point in the game, it's just like, whatever, I'll just reroll, who cares. I wanted to play Mordekaiser reroll, potentially. This guy, then I took Prismatic Ticket, because I said to myself, oh, maybe I can play 1 cost reroll, and I can play like Ash Jax reroll, because I'm starting the game off with multi-strikers. The other guy basically got Build-A-Bud, and then it transformed into an Akali. Like when he bought his charm was like the polymorph charm, so he has an Akali 3. So he's definitely committed towards that multi-striker line. So now I'm probably going to be playing a 3 cost reroll, because I don't really think I have another spot for a 1 cost reroll here. I'm either going to play towards Ezreal Hui, that's why I'm holding on to the Mordekaiser in the Rumble, or I'm going to play towards Veigar Vex. Now there is a Galio in my shop. I think at this point I was thinking more along the lines of playing Hui. My opener is a little bit awkward because I took Prismatic Ticket. Usually if you're playing a 3 cost reroll, a lot of times it's better just to take March of Progress. March of Progress works out a little bit better, I think. I'm going to double check the stats just to make sure that I'm not giving you guys bad information here. I think March of Progress does a little bit better. March of Progress is a 4.5. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is Prismatic Ticket. 4.6. Yeah, I remember that. So you'll see that Prismatic Ticket, the best comp is usually going to be like Mage's reroll. You'll see like Nora's really high up, Nami's really high up, Veigar's high up, Vex is high up. And I think you'll notice the same thing with March of Progress. I think March of Progress just works out to be a little bit better, because you get more value off of it early game. Early game, it will level you up, so you'll be a little bit stronger earlier. Prismatic Ticket doesn't really give you any early game benefits. So Prismatic Ticket is something you usually want to play when you're playing towards a another type of reroll, like a 1 cost or a 2 cost reroll, because March of Progress, you don't have that much time to hit your 1 cost or your 2 cost, because it will continually level you up. You're going to spend most of the game rolling for 3 costs on level 7. So it's a little bit better to take March of Progress if you're playing a 3 cost reroll. So as you can see here, some of them are good, like Nomzi. That's like, you know, if you're playing like the Dragon reroll, because you want to get Nomzi, then you want to hit Shyvana, so you have to like roll at different intervals. But you'll see that like the strong comp is obviously going to be like playing Mages with the Nami and everything else. If you weren't here for the last video that I made, I will just give you the quick little breakdown of the board that you're going to be playing. or sorry, that I'm going to be playing in this video, and that, like, you know what this guide slash YouTube video is talking about. 7 mages is usually what you're going towards. It's hard to fit in 7 mages because it's hard to find the Nora and the Yumi. Because it's Prismatic Party, mages works out really well because you can always get a mage +1 that you can then put on a different unit. So a lot of times, I'll just dump 2 units for now. So let's just get rid of these ones. A lot of times you're playing 5 mages. On level 7 you're rolling for either a Mordekaiser. A lot of times if you have Prismatic Ticket, it's just really efficient to go for Vex 3, Mordekaiser 3, and Veigar 3 because they're all 3 costs. So it's just efficient rolling. You get to pick up the same cost units, then out the pool, make it easier for you to hit your units. And then if you're not rolling for Mordekaiser 3, a lot of times usually you'll have Mordekaiser 3 in anyways. You'll play 5 mages. This synergizes with Vanguard, and you'll have +1 spot. So a lot of times what you'll do is you'll play a Chrono unit. I'll just throw a Camille in as an example. So the Chrono unit is just going to give you the passive Chrono heal, which will work out really well. You can also play towards like Eldritch. If you're not rolling for Mordekaiser, another good option is to play Xerath with Tahm Kench. Veigar scales off of buying multiple charms. The more charms you buy, the more AP the Veigar will get. Xerath also, as the Arcana bonus, scales, giving you true damage based on the amount of charms that you buy. For every 3 charms that you buy, he gives you additional true damage. So it works out that you can do this synergy that you can fit in 2 Arcana if you high roll yourself into a Xerath and then play this board on level 7. So there's a lot of different options for level 7, but when you're eventually hitting your full board, you will want to be level 8 and play around 7 mage. 7 mage is your huge spike because 7 mage gives you so much extra AP that all your units start to do a bunch more damage, and Vex gets a lot more tanky. If we're looking at the Veigar and the Vex in terms of itemizations, on Vex you usually want to make AP frontline items. Something like a Crown Guard is really good on her, and a lot of times you're just going to put your Spark on her because she's going to live forever. If you have the opportunity, often Gargoyle is really good because if you read Vex's ability, she gains a larger shield if more units are targeting her. So a lot of times you want a solo frontliner, so you have good synergy with playing Gargoyle with the Vex additionally. Besides that, if you're on your Veigar, the best items that you can hit are blue buff Nashers. Of course, if you don't have blue buff, you could still make Shojin. Nashers is pretty essential if you're making the Shojin build. And if you have the opportunity, JG is pretty good. It's just efficient because you're getting rid of the glove component. But if you like high roll all your items, I'm pretty sure Rabadon's a little bit better on the Veigar. So, you know, either way, your last item is pretty flexible. It's usually whatever you have to deal with. If you have a sword, you're pretty much always making a Shojin because, like, there's nothing else you can make with swords in this comp. It's just a little bit awkward to play around. When you have your later items, like your utility items, a lot of times you're just going to put anti-heal on Nami, either the form of red buff or Morello. I'll just put a Morello on her. And a lot of times you can also put Shiv on Nami if you don't have a Spark to put on the Vex. So that's usually how your itemization goes. Of course, there's different variations of this. If you're Prismatic Ticket, I do recommend, even if you don't have a Mage +1, just playing around the Mordekaiser, because Mordekaiser 3 will do a lot of work. He's almost as strong as a tank as the Vex unit in this specific comp. So it works out really well to just have the Mordekaiser as like an extra frontline unit to give your Veigar enough time to scale up. Let's go back to the game and we'll see what's going on here. I took Rod on Carousel, and I'm kind of playing towards mages now. I'm not sure if somebody looks like they're angling blasters. I think there's already a Varus player, so in my head I'm just like, I might as well just play towards mages, because mages I think is uncontested in this game, and I'm Prismatic Ticket. It's a little bit awkward. I don't have that many Soraka and that many Seraphines. Like I said before, if you're playing a 3-cost reroll, the better option is March of Progress. And then if you have AP items, March of Progress is really good because you can either play March of Progress with Veigar Vex, like this comp that I'm talking about, or if you watched one of my previous videos on Hui reroll, all the Veigar items that you would make and the Vex items you can make work really well for Hui reroll as well. So you actually have 2 options. Now, if you're contested on both of those options, you probably shouldn't take March of Progress. But if you're angling towards a 3-cost reroll, March of Progress works out really well. You just sit there, collect up your money, and then just roll like 100 gold on level 7 and hit everything. And usually you hit pretty aggressively and you stabilize pretty hard. So that's usually the better play. Prismatic Ticket is better if you're rolling for sub 3 cost units, right? If you're rolling for a 1 cost reroll, so if you were playing mages, for example, one variation that you can play that I haven't shown yet is you can play Seraphine Soraka reroll. Now in this game, I don't have that many Seraphines and Sorakas. If I had like 3 or 4 copies of each of them, I probably would have sent it on level 4 to try and hit Seraphine Soraka 3. Seraphine 3 is your primary carry in that case, and she is very fucking strong. Especially if you can make it to the later levels to find like the Nora Yumi and hit 7 mage. Now it is prismatic, so there's lots of really strong prismatic augments you can hit. I remember I looked through them last time. Mage Crown is one of the best ones you can hit, by the way. So if you look at the stats currently, Mage Crown is one of the best performing augments in the game. And the reason is just because it's really hard to secure the 7 mage with the Nora and the Yumi. Especially with the combination of Prismatic Ticket, I now get to make a Mage Mordekaiser, which is going to be like, you know, pretty much the same as the on par with the Vex in terms of just like making like a shit ton of shielding and just being an absolute nuisance of a frontline unit. So it actually works out really well. It makes me stable now that I'm 5 mage while still having like a good front line as well as a back line. But also on level 7 now, I can actually fit in 7 mage pretty easily, right? If we go back to this board, let's go to level 7. Right, if we have a mage +1, then we could just drop, for example, I'll just drop Soraka in this case. It doesn't matter if you drop Soraka or Seraphine. I think Soraka gives a little bit of util because she does a little bit of healing, but this is going to be your board on level 7. You just mage Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser likes the same type of items that Vex likes, but you could go a little bit more damage focused if you think that your damage is lacking. For example, if you don't have good Veigar items, you could try and make your Mordekaiser like a pseudo carry as well. And just give him a little bit of damage items, but usually you're just making him like the same things as Vex, right? Like Adaptive Helm, Crown Guard, like frontline AP slash AD items. You could go like a little bit more attack focused and go like a Titans, for example, is also like tolerable. He's a little bit more flexible. Vex, because she's going to be like primary a tank and not a damage dealer, you really want to have something that gives her like armor and MR in addition to like the AP tank items, just to make sure that she's not getting deleted by some really strong unit with a bunch of like AD or AP. You don't want her to get one shot accidentally, basically. But then you can just roll for this board on level 7, so it actually works out really well, and you're going to go for Mordekaiser 3 with the mage +1 almost always. And then we're not really playing towards that Arcana variation, but it's just something to note. Like I said, there are many different options, so depending on what you hit, like if you hit a Tahm Kench 2 before you hit a Mordekaiser, you can play the Tahm Kench and then level and eventually play Xerath and get the extra true damage. They're all viable. There's not one that's particularly like outstandingly better than the other, but a lot of times when you have like Mordekaiser 3, Vex 3, you find yourself in like a game-winning position. I haven't been talking that much about the game in general. Right now I'm playing down an augment, right? That's what I was saying. Remember I was saying March of Progress helps out a little bit because those early game levels can make your board a little bit stronger. Because I'm basically playing down a prismatic augment, I took prismatic ticket. Excuse me, I took prismatic ticket and I didn't like use it. It's a sub 4.5 augment. It's not that good. Anyways, this is very like a forcing hand situation. I just took it because like that's the kind of mood I was in. I felt like, you know, I might as well just force towards some sort of reroll here because I think it's a little bit more reliable. So, Prismatic Ticket is basically like playing down a Prismatic Augment. There's lots of other people that had spikes, they had power, they had all sorts of other things that will stabilize their board a little bit better. Here I'm very low HP and I have Prismatic Ticket, so I just start to slight roll now. I slight rolled a little bit to try and hit a Veigar and a Vex upgrade because I will be able to reestablish my econ after these couple turns into neutral, so I can just chill for a little bit. When you're playing Veigar, you also want to roll every turn for a charm. You want to buy as many charms as possible because the scaling is very significant. If you hit all of the scaling on the Veigar, you'll do really well. Something I remember when I was playing this game, this was a part where I was like, what the fuck is this? Because this guy was upgraded Adventure, and I remember when he started the game out, he was playing Blitzcrank Ziggs, and I don't know what happened if he just like ran into a bunch of Sorakas and Seraphines, but he pivoted into Mages, and now he's holding Veigars and Vexes and all of that. So I'm actually contested on the line, which is very scary, because I'm very low HP. When I was planning this line, it looked like it was uncontested when I originally scouted. I thought he was playing towards the Honeymancy, like Ziggs, like the Ziggs Blitzcrank board, like the Zap attack board. That's what it looked like in stage 2. So I hadn't scouted him until now because I just like wrote it off of like, oh, he's upgraded adventure, he's committing to reroll, he has a bunch of copies of Ziggs, he's playing Ziggs. But I think maybe on his like initial roll down when he was trying to find Blitzcrank 3, he probably just hit like Soraka 3 and I didn't notice, and then like he pivoted into Mages, which is totally valid and fine, but it's just something now we have to be very careful. Another thing that's not stated enough is how good Mage Crown is, because it gives you a spark. Mage Crown literally gives you one of the best items for your comp. This comp is very rod and cloak heavy, right? Like a lot of the items you need to make require a rod, just because you're like playing mostly AP. So getting a spark instantly is just amazing. So Mage Crown, very, very good. As you can see, I won the last 2 rounds. That's why I rolled a little bit. I broke Econ, trying to like roll down to hit an upgrade on this Veigar and this Vex. I also have Prismatic Ticket, so I have a lot of free rerolls. As you can see, I still have 6 free rerolls accumulated, so I'm actually in a pretty good spot to hit the rest of my board. It's just this guy who might grief me because he's like holding a bunch of my units. But I'm not too concerned because I am Prismatic Ticket. A lot of times when you're playing mages, if one person goes for Soraka 3, Seraphine 3, a lot of times they're stable and they're not really going for Vex 3, Veigar 3, because they won't have enough gold to push levels and also roll down and hit those units in addition to like the Seraphine and the Soraka 3. So a lot of times you can contest it if you hit those two like back to back, right? Here I run into a really awkward problem. So I think the strongest board right now would be to put the Morello on the Veigar, just because having triple items on Veigar is just really, really good. You really want like triple items on any unit, right? The items have an additive property where they like add on to the effects of the other. So if one gives you AP and then one gives you crit chance and another one gives you attack speed, you're like boosting that same unit to do more and more damage, like multiplicative. So it would be better to put the Morello on the Veigar. The problem is that in this upcoming carousel round, I'm probably going to be first pick. So even if there's not a tier, I will be able to make either blue buff or Shojin, which will be a better Veigar item, and I'd rather put the Morello on a Nami instead. So that's a little bit of a problem because for 2 rounds, basically, I'm greeting my item a little bit. Now in terms of items, any combat is really good here. Even like Spellcaster's Toolbox that gives you really good items would also be good. I hit Giant and Mighty. Giant and Mighty's fine. I'm going to be getting a lot of 3 stars. So they're going to have a bunch of HP. So if they gain like a percentage maximum health increase, it's just going to make my front line extremely tanky. So here I'm just going to roll a little bit. I have a duplicator from the start of the game. I think that's part of the reason why I committed to reroll. I'm sorry that I didn't mention it earlier. So I'm rolling a little bit aggressively here just because the other guy's also rolling. I'm Prismatic Ticket, so I want to make sure that I stabilize. I'm 29 HP, so I'm just rolling as deep as I can. The reason I'm rolling so deep is because I'm 1 off Mordekaiser, I'm 2 off Veigar, and now I'm 2 off Vex. So hitting any of them, whichever one I hit, I can just duplicate the other one. So that's why I'm rolling really deep. Because I also have Prismatic Ticket at a lot of free rerolls. I just sent it. You could roll like slow roll 50. The problem is because there's another guy that's like picking up units as well. I had a bunch of rerolls accumulate. I just kind of sent it. I think both are valid. I was just scared and I didn't want to like throw this position. And I'm also 29 HP, so I don't want to greed many more rounds. So I wanted to try and like, you know, roll for as many upgrades as possible. If I hit a 3-star in the next 1 or 2 turns, I should be able to get a top 4. As opposed to if I play against one of the high rollers that has like a really, really strong board, I can just like bot 4 really easily here. So it's very situational. Usually I don't like to break econ. I always say like when you're rolling, you should roll till around 30 gold. The only reason I rolled deeper was because I had like 6 copies of a unit, or I had like not 6 copies. I had like 8 copies of multiple units. Like as you can see here, look at my bench, right? I'm 1 off of everybody. So in this case, my Vex is my main item holder, so I can just duplicate the Vex. But that's why I'm rolling really deep, because if I hit the units, I'm very close to all of them. While I was rolling, I kept finding units, so I kind of just decided in the spot to send it. At that point in time, usually what I would recommend is to roll till around 30 gold, and then reestablish your econ, and then reset after. That's like the more like reliable, proper strategy to do, because then if you don't hit a bunch of units, you run into a bad spot. I had a champion duplicator on bench, so I just said to myself, I'm just going to send it and roll for one of these 3-stars, because I did find a lot of copies while I was rolling to 30. Right, when I was rolling to 30, I was like 2 or 3 off of like multiple different 3-stars, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to send it. There's a lot of people that are really strong. Oh, this fight I remember was really annoying. So this guy recon bobbed into an Akali 3 and he built Akali items. Then he took What the Forge and he hit really good Akali items on What the Forge. Like, that guy high rolled so hard because he could have taken What the Forge and not get Akali items and he would have gone straight 8th. But instead he's literally win streaking and going first, or he's like 87 HP. So that guy got really lucky. I don't know if that's like a good play. I know What the Forge is very, very strong and very broken. So I'm not saying that that's like a bad play to take What the Forge. But what I was saying is, like, if you just have like an Akali 3 out of nowhere, like, I don't think you take What the Forge if you have Akali items, right? His items weren't even bad. Like, originally he had like double Akali items that he made. So I was like, that's crazy. But, you know, he high rolled, so I guess it was the right decision. Anyways, now I have blue buff on Veigar. I'm just rolling my free rerolls now, by the way, excuse me. So every turn when I get free rerolls because of my prismatic ticket, I'm just rolling to hit the Mordekaiser because I'm one off. So I might as well just use the free rerolls every turn because it's a big spike, right? Even if he has no items, the Mordekaiser will work as a nice frontline unit. Here I'm just trying to adjust my positioning. I don't want to clump too hard because there is a Fiora player. If the Fiora player happens to just like snipe my Veigar, I might be in a really big issue. Here I think my Veigar should be on the opposite side, by the way, because Blinding Jewel Karma might be able to kill me. But with this comp, especially right now, I'm also scaling with AP into late game. I should be reliable. I should reliably be able to get a top 4, excuse me. But that's why I sent it so early, because I didn't want to lose any more fights. As you can see, I did lose a fight against the Akali player, which was really unfortunate. But you don't want to be less than like 20 usually. You want to be 2 lives. You always want to be around 2 lives, because like you can always lose to some weird interaction or some high roll situation where somebody has like some crazy board. You might miss position against one player. You always want to give yourself a chance to react. You want to give yourself a chance to, if you miss something or you didn't scout or you misjudged a fight, you always want to be 2 lives so that you don't just like roll into somebody who has like a really good board or a really good matchup. You make the tiniest of errors, then you go 8th, right? When you have a board that would beat everybody else 90% of the time. So that's part of the reason why I sent it early. That's what I was saying, right? Because when you're low HP, your decisions have to be more desperate. You have to be more like inclined to try and hit. Obviously on my roll down, I hit a lot. If you watch back, like I was watching the roll down a little bit, I think that I could have greeted 1 or 2 more turns, right? I could have stayed at 30 HP and just greed a turn. But because I had a duplicator on bench, I felt like, you know, once I was at 30 gold, it's like, okay, like, you know, I have 6 copies of Mordekaiser, 6 copies of Veigar, like a lot of copies of Vexes. I might as well roll a little bit more, because if I hit one of them and I can use the duplicator, that might be enough to save me HP for majority of my game. So that's why that turn kind of went down that way. Like I said, I don't think it's like the perfectly optimal thing, but I think it's just a hard decision to make. Like, you can't just look at it and say like, you broke the rule, you shouldn't have rolled as deep. It's like, yeah, I guess so. I think that like is not always correct, because, you know, if I rolled to 10 gold and I didn't hit 7 copies of each of them, then I'm in a bit of a problem if I didn't find any more Mordekaisers or Veigars or Vexes past that 30 gold mark. But we'll see. Here I'm just looking for another Vex item. It's probably just gonna be, well, Redemption's okay. It's Redemption or Warmogs, because I also have Giant and Mighty, so Warmog's a bit multiplicative. But I'm probably just gonna make Redemption here. I don't think Redemption is the best item on her, but it does give a little bit of healing, right? It gives healing to my whole front line. I have a Mordekaiser as well. If I get a better Vex item later, I could also swap it. All my utility is dealt with, by the way, right? I have Shred and I have anti-heal, so I'm not too worried about that. I just pushed the level instantly to 9 because I can just play a chrono unit and it helps me out. This guy just FF. I think it was the other mage player. You probably saw that he was playing me and he just quit. Yeah, I don't know what he did. I don't know what happened, right, with his initial roll down. I don't know if he was just always trying to play mages, but, you know, my bad. I didn't mean to grief him. It's just at that point I'm committed. I have Prismatic Ticket and Mage Crown. I didn't even know he was playing mages until after I took Mage Crown. I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly from when I played the game. So it is what it is. I could have played Hui. Like, I could have played off the Mordekaiser and play Hui, because I think Hui is also uncontested, and it's pretty much equally as strong in some of these spots if you can hit hard enough. But, you know, my bad. Whoopsie. Looking around, I'm just trying to see like what the best positioning is that I can do. I'm trying to get my Nami on a side that will stun the backline carry. One of the big things that I want is to isolate my Veigar a little bit, just so that I don't get like hit with a Fiora by accident. Here I kind of messed up. I wanted to move the Seraphine over one more, just to like make it so that the Fiora doesn't dash the backline. But this guy's not too scary. I think the Fiora players in the lobby don't have like the most insane boards. The only board that I'm really scared about is the Akali board, just like sniping my Veigar. But I think at this point, I have enough like tankiness that I should be able to like one-shot the Akali. Like I don't think that's a problem board anymore for me. So now we're actually playing for a first out of nowhere. It looks like we might just play for first because we hit Veigar 3, Mordekaiser 3, and Vex 3, like all of them at once. So we're actually really strong. Here I'm debating if I put in Karma over the Zillion, but I think Zillion Bomb is just a little bit better. I'm rolling for a Charm here. When it's stage 5, usually you should roll for Charm every single turn, in my opinion. It's really risky not to. It's really risky not to roll for Charm, because if you just lose a fight because of Charm, you know, you lose so much HP. It's just a problem. Here I'm just looking to position a little bit better. I want to make sure my Veigar is always on the opposite side of carries that could snipe the backline. So for example, this guy I position really well for. You want to be opposite side of this Blading Jewel Karma, because you don't want to accidentally have your Veigar just die for no reason. Vex doesn't do that much damage. She can sometimes clutch up. She's not as bad as like a Rakan without a Kalista, but at the same time, you want to be careful. You definitely don't want to leave it to you don't want to leave it to chance, because your Veigar is going to do so much more damage. Here I have options of just itemizing Nami, but I do also want to itemize the Mordekaiser. I have Mordekaiser 3, so the more items I put on this Mordekaiser 3 will actually start to do a lot of work. As you can see, it usually just soaks up some damage to make my my Vex live a little bit longer. So anything that's like a good frontline item or a decent damaging item would be good. Titans here is fine. It's not the greatest, it's not the best, but it's okay. It gives some stats, it gives some defensive stats. It's a frontline item. So I'm down to put on the Mordekaiser. Maybe it can work kind of like a dual carry. And here I'm just going to roll. I'm going to try and see if I buy this charm. This charm usually is pretty useless, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think I'm just going to roll for a better charm. Yeah, I'm just going to keep rolling for a charm. Oh my god, these charms are so fucking bad. Okay, that's a good charm. That's a good charm finally. The reason I was rolling so deep is because I'm fighting a couple people that might be stronger than me. So I can actually die this round, because I just haven't fought this Akali player in a really long time. Like, if this guy's real, and I don't have a good charm, and the Akali snipes my Veigar, I was actually scared of losing the game right here. So that's why I was rolling really deep. You might look at it and be like, why'd you throw away all your econ? Like, look at this. This is a clone. This is a clone, and this Akali is, like, almost killed my Veigar. Right? Like, I could have lost the game right here, and then I could go, like, I don't think I would have gone 5th, but I could have gone 5th. Like, who knows, right? So that's, like, for placements. So that's why I rolled really hard for, like, a good charm. Maybe it was a little bit greedy not to take the Yordle one, but the Yordle one kind of feels like it's useless half the time. Like, it just, like, it's like it blocks a little bit of damage, but it's like it goes away before their units cast. That's what it feels like all the time. Here, Bramblevest is pretty good because I'm actually up against the Hunter player. So it's actually really, really strong against this player. I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to bait this guy. He's not really scouting, so I'm not sure if he's, like, trying to position for me or not. We'll see. And he does. So I'm on the wrong side here. However, he's aligning his Jinx and his Olaf, which is really bad because the Olaf gets aggroed first. So I just kill the Olaf instantly with the Veigar. If I think it would be better to, like, opposite side them, but maybe that's just me. I know that he wants to try and burst down the front line, but if you're trying to same side the Jinx and the Olaf, you don't want to same side the Olaf as the Veigar. You can same side the Jinx as the Veigar, because I'm opposite side Nami, so you don't want the Gwynsu to get stunned by the Nami constantly. But I think it's a little bit stressful to, like, put the Olaf in front of the Veigar like that. But as you can see, the only player that I'm scared of is the Akali player. That Akali player from the original start of the game, because it was basically an Akali 3 scaling with Pyro the whole game. But also has, what's it called? The, Prowler's Claw, which makes it so that she can, like, dive the backline, or she can randomly, like, even if she dives the backline, the Prowler's Claw can randomly make her reset on the backline. So it's not like I have to survive one Akali ult, it's like I have to survive the Akali, like, constantly, like, running at my Veigar like multiple times. So it's actually very scary. And it gives her a lot of AD and crit chance. So like, you know, it's a really good Ornn artifact in this situation where I have a really strong front line, but they have a unit that can get past it and then like maybe snipe my back line. So I roll again for a little bit of a better charm. This is the player I was talking about. As you can see, I think there are 5 Pyro, Akali 3, Death's Defiance, Prowler's Claw. We just gotta hope that we can tank an Akali ult. As you can see, my Veigar died. So that's what I was trying to say before. At any point, this guy can just beat me. However, we do have Mordekaiser 3 and Vex 3. And Mordekaiser 3 can clutch up. As you can see, because my Veigar died first, Mordekaiser did the most damage. Mordekaiser 3, great unit. Not the best items on him. I kind of swapped my items to give like the best the best tank items I could to the Vex. I could also solo frontline the Vex. I probably should at this point. Now I have gargoyles, so it actually makes sense to solo frontline the Vex. So I might drop, you might see me drop the Mordekaiser and the, yep, there we go. That makes sense. I was gonna say it'd be really stupid not to solo frontline it. But that was really scary, right? That's what I was saying. Like the Veigar is subject to just dying instantly to the Akali. There's no real way to properly position for the Akali. She dashes to the furthest unit within 3 hexes, so there's always going to be like a tiebreaker unless you like try and creatively position your backline. It's really difficult to avoid because they can just move their Akali 1 square over and you have to move like multiple units to try and make it happen. Just gotta hope that the Akali doesn't dash to the Veigar or doesn't reset to the Veigar after killing one of your shitter units. But we'll see. Eventually, my Veigar's going to have enough damage that he might one-shot the Akali. And that's what we're really hoping for. Here, I'm just rolling for a combat charm. There's no need to go 9 right now. Like, there's nothing on my board that I can put in for level 9. I could usually play, like, a Preserver or Arcana at one point. You can drop Chrono and play Arcana, or you can play a Preserver or play multiple Preservers, and it's, like, a little bit stronger. But I'm not trying to go 9. The lobby is getting really close in HP, so I'd rather just roll for good charms to make sure I don't accidentally die to one of these boards that has a lot of AD, right? We're once again on same side. This time we actually positioned really well for this guy. He didn't really adjust that well for me. So I'm on same side as the Olaf, and my Nami is on opposite side of the Jinx. So we got the best of both worlds. We get the stuns on the Jinx, and we get to kill the Olaf instantly. So yeah, that's just a chalk match right there. And as you can see, we're just not losing any fights after hitting everybody 3-star. So you know, it's working out. That's pretty good. Here, any mana item on Nami is good. So there's actually 2 of them. There's Blue Buff and Adaptive Helm. I think Adaptive Helm is better than Blue Buff. I might be wrong though, but I just want to get the stun off faster. Like, call me, is this crazy? Let me say the thought process. I think Adaptive Helm is a better item on Nami, but I know Blue Buff is also good on Nami because I just want the first cast to happen instantly. Like, I just want, like, the fucking Nami to get the stun off before the Akali even dashes. Like, that was my thought process. Maybe it's wrong. It might be wrong. Maybe Adaptive Helm is just better longevity, like better value of getting multiple casts off. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna straight up just Blue Buff, just make the Nami cast as fast as possible, and just try and kill this Akali. So as you can see here, this is what I was saying with the positioning that you can change a little bit. I'll pause it for a second just so you can see. So I count hexes, right? Over here, a lot of times Akali would dash twice to get to the Veigar. Here, what I'm hoping is that the Akali dashes to the left. My Veigar is like 5 hexes away from the Vex. So the Akali's going to be on the Vex. Then 3 hexes away is 1, 2, 3 this guy, or 1, 2, 3 this guy. What I should have done is I should have put the what's it called? The Zillion should have been next to the Nami, right? If I put the Zillion next to the Nami, then the Akali will never dash to the Veigar, because the Akali will always dash to the left if the Zillion was on the opposite side, because the furthest unit within 3 hexes is going to be one of the middle backline units, and then she shouldn't go to the Veigar because she'll be too far to the left. So I tried the right idea, I didn't execute it perfectly. So the Akali dashes to the middle backline, then she dashes to the left here. I think she could have dashed, her initial dash could have been to the right, and then she would have dashed to the Veigar instead of dashing to the Nami. And then there was a chance I lose this. Now Mordekaiser does clutch up, right? We saw it last fight that the Mordekaiser has the potential to clutch up, but we'll see. So now I think we have like last fight coming up. This is to see if we can get a first. This isn't the Akali player, so I feel less scared about it. But I think this guy kind of made a mistake. I'm also rolling really slow. I don't really have anything to roll for, so I'm just trying to make sure that I find like a really nice charm, which I think I already bought. I don't know which charm I bought, but I think I liked it enough to buy it. And I'm just rolling for, I don't know, whatever. So this guy's board, I think he had a chance to beat me. Now, maybe I'm wrong. He has Briar too, and he has a golden remover. Why is the Hunter emblem on the Swain? Why doesn't he put the Hunter emblem on the Briar? Hunter emblem Briar, by the way, is one of the most broken things in the game. I don't know if he just ran out of time, but like Hunter emblem on Swain does literally fucking nothing. He could have been 6 Hunter Briar, and that's actually like fucking deletes the board. Like that's actually fucking strong as shit. So I don't know if this guy just trolled. I don't know if he was like busy with something, like maybe he had like a rough day or something like that. But why did the Briar not get the Hunter emblem? Why do you have Hunter emblem Swain? Because I think he might have won this game. Like look how close this fight is, right? The Jinx is like imagine if he had Hunter Briar, I might have literally went second. So like, you know, we'll take the first because like, you know, fuck it. Like I'll take a first. I'm down, right? I'm not gonna give back the LP, you know. But just to say, like, as broken as this comp looked, there is like other situations that could be a lot stronger, and I just wanted to point that out. So, you know, that's the Veigar Vex comp. It's very dry, it's very simple, it's very much the same as it's always been. And I've played it a bunch. I thought this would be a nice video to post because it was a first, and I was like, hey, you know what? Sometimes YouTube gets to see me go first. Like, you know, that's pretty cool, and you can kind of see how it played around. The only point that was a little bit sus with me is like how deep I rolled on 4-2. I basically rolled to like less than 10 gold looking for my upgrades. I could have waited a turn maybe. Like there's a little bit of like a decision making there that I'm not quite sure what the correct decision is. But you just have to kind of decide when you look like you're 2 lives. You send it to 0. Prismatic Ticket gives you so many extra rolls that a lot of times you're trying to hit the Mordekaiser, the Vex, and the Veigar, but usually if you don't have Prismatic Ticket, it's really hard to hit the Mordekaiser as well. You don't have enough gold to do the rolling as well as the hitting. And then if you get really good items and really good spot for everything, then right, my items are like almost perfect here. It helped out a lot with Mage Crown as well, because even with all that rolling, I never hit a Nora. So without the Nora, without 7 Mage, I probably would have ended up like 3rd/4th this game. So, you know, the much more consistent strategy, usually take Mage Emblem, take some sort of gold generation or reroll augment, and then your last one you want to have like a really good combat, and then you're really well rounded to like hit your reroll really strong. But anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully it was enjoyable, and see you around. Bye bye.